Thank you. I'd like to know how each of you feel about the restriction and prohibition of the use of agricultural pesticides near public schools.
As an organic farmer, I am very passionate about reducing the use of pesticides and would absolutely support efforts to, eliminate the use around school sites. I will say that there actually is state law on the books that we could, as a community, step up and enforce. It is currently illegal for any farmer to apply anything that can drift off of their property. And we all know that it happens, that sometimes, farmers are against the law spraying on a windy day, which they should never do, or they're spraying too far up into, sort of the canopy or the atmosphere, and that it does have a potential to drift. So actually, there was a successful lawsuit that was filed in Santa Cruz over this issue. And so I feel that, step one is how can we up that enforcement? And then if there is any ability locally to strengthen laws surrounding schools, I would absolutely support that. I will say, though, that just as a heads up, it's actually very difficult to regulate pesticides use locally. The state actually prohibits us from, say, banning Roundup. We actually can't do that as a municipality based on sort of state law. What we can do, and what I really support, is eliminating the use of Roundup as a county. The county actually sprays about 30,000 pounds of Roundup every year into our roadside ditches, which lead into our creeks, which lead into our rivers. I would love to stop that, and I would love to also eliminate the use of Roundup on county properties, which is another thing that we can do, because as owners, we could stop that. And one thing I want to mention, I saw this on the local Guerneville Facebook page, is that they were spraying Roundup right on the Guerneville Plaza just a couple of weeks ago. And so I'm not sure if anyone figured out exactly who was doing that or how, but that is very concerning to me, and in my mind really needs to be stopped, because I don't want people to be exposed to these chemicals. So really big passion of mine as an organic farmer. And I can tell you that personally I have experienced really unfortunate Roundup drift. Right before our organic certifier on our farm came, the neighboring vineyard came and literally, they had their tractor, and it was clearly they didn't shut it off, and they made a huge sort of turnaround. Every time they turned around the vineyard row, they came onto our farm property dripping Roundup. So we come out with the organic certifier, and there is just brown, dead grass. And, that's unacceptable. We really need to make sure that we're not experiencing drift, that it's not contaminating, other people's property. And I would love to work on how can we incentivize the agricultural community to stop using this stuff. So since we can't use the stick, how do we use the carrot? So
yeah, I think we all agree that the county should not be using Roundup. The other thing we need to do as a county is to work with Caltrans, because Caltrans sprays Roundup in their right-of-way, speaking of Caltrans. So that's another thing we need to work with Caltrans on. Your question specifically had to do with schools. My son attended Orchard View School on Water Trough Road, and that is one of the 4 schools that was unfortunately sprayed with pesticides a couple of years ago. Very, very unfortunate incident, and we need to make sure that that does not happen again. There are things that the county can do using its zoning code power and its power under conditional use permits to prohibit people from spraying Roundup on certain days when school children are present, providing advisory warnings and what to do if a problem develops with a child, and allowing the parents to know when this is going to take place so that they can keep their children home from school for a certain period of time. There's a whole lot of things that the county can do. Unfortunately, we cannot tell farmers they can't use this product. But we can require certain agricultural setbacks, particularly around schools and homes where children are present. That's something we're not doing right now. So there's a whole lot of things that the county can do to cut back, reduce, and prohibit the county from using this substance.
And I also want to bring up that at one of the meetings I went to, a mother went to the school where her children were attending school and asked the school not to use Roundup on their property. And the school said, we will not from here on in. And so that was a very personal plea to the school itself. And you can do that too.